thing is Thursday, 1:30 to 2:30. Be there, be square. If you registered for the last one, we are automatically signing you up for this one so that you get the recording. Okay, but we're not going to do that until you guys have registered yourself, just so we don't all the things. Okay, so make sure you get registered for that. If you're registered for the old one, you'll get the recording when it's done with the summary and everything else. It will be a good one. Okay, so today, the other thing, I want you guys to always be thinking of scripts you need to be working on. What could be helpful in your business, okay? And I'm going to open the chat box, and if you've run into anything recently, I want you to throw it in there so that we make sure, as I go through that script book, there is just so much content in it. And I want to make sure you're really hitting the stuff you need. Okay, so maybe if you haven't gone through it in a little bit, maybe skim through the pages, see what's in there, and then say, wow, that's really one that could help me that I should practice. Okay, especially as the market's shifting, some of our bulletproofing things and our ABC buyer may be coming more into fruition here, and we might need them more than you have in the past. Okay, so pay attention to what scripts you need and make sure you're letting me know so that we can get together and practice them on this. And I have a lot of people looking for good role play partners. Okay, so if you need a role play partner, go ahead and throw that in the chat box, what days you'd like to role play and time. Okay, and maybe just grab 2 or 3. Grab a couple for each different day so that you can get practicing. Okay? All right, today, I was telling Christopher before you guys all hopped on, I am not at my best today. So we're going to get through this one, and it's going to be great content. But we're going to do a lot of talking, okay? Because today, what we're going to talk about is where you bring value as a buyer's agent, okay? So I want you to put yourself in the perspective of, number one of your friends calls you and wants to go look at houses. You're at an open house and you're talking to a potential buyer, right? A buyer calls off a sign. Any of these positions, when you are talking directly to a potential buyer, when you're having that conversation, how confident are you that if they hire you today, you can make them more money than anyone else out there? Okay, good. Christopher's shaking his head. Awesome. That's exactly what I wanted to see. A little like maybe, I don't know, okay? My goal for this call is when you get off, I want you confident that that is absolutely what you can do for every buyer out there. Okay, because when you can really stand behind this and when you really know, so it changes your mindset. Okay, so think about this. When you're going at them not saying, hire me, hire me, hire me, but hey, it's truly in your best interest if you want to hire me, right? Like you ask me for it because I have so much value to give you. It truly changes the mindset you go into every conversation with these buyers. Okay, when you can really tap into how can you really help them make more money, right? Why are you the best person to absolutely protect every single dollar they have worked their life to earn, right? That's what I want you leaving this call, understanding that yes, you are that person and that is exactly why they should hire you as their buyer's representative, okay? So let's start. Think about everything you do for buyers, okay? And I want us to just kind of list them. So get your pens and papers out and let's talk about, get your chat box open. Let's start. I've got a list of at least 11 things that I just penciled down real quick. Let's see what you all come up with and let's see what we're missing, okay? So tell me, what is one way that you can make your buyers money when they work with you? What's something you bring to the table that allows them to make more money when they're working with you and buying a house with you? Market stats, inspection negotiations, seller concessions. You guys are nailing it. Negotiation power. Yep, good job. Keep throwing them out there. Keep throwing them out there. And then we're going to dig into each one and try to help you kind of quantify these and what it looks like to be what you can do versus other agents. Okay? Confidence in pricing and value when it comes to appraisal. Absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's just talk about direct financial implications in a purchase. Number one, how much they pay for the property, right? That is direct money. Number two, what all can they ask for as part of that purchase agreement? And what determines that? Their micro market, right? What's happening in that specific market? There you go, Alyssa. What's happening in that specific neighborhood versus potentially other neighborhoods they're looking at. Think about that. When you've got a buyer that's at the same price point, same general city, but they've got 3 different neighborhoods they can choose from, think about how you direct them and give them information for which one might be a smarter purchase over another. Right? You're already doing that in your head. This is part of what you do every day to be a realtor. You often don't pull it to the top as the true value you have for your buyers, right? You know that market inside and out. You know, number one, what the best investment might be. And compared to other options out there, you can direct them to the best, safest investment for their goals. Okay? So that negotiation on the front end is huge. How they write their purchase agreement. So first they got to win it. And then we want to be able to win it without leaving any money on the table, right? We want to be able, we're going to direct them to make the very best, most competitive offer without leaving anything on the table they didn't need to. Okay? So that's the first one. Just in how you present the negotiation, how you purchase the house, how you understand the investment you're buying. Okay? And then how you position your offer to win it. Seller concessions. We'll just go, here, yep. Inspections was next. So we're just going to run right down through all of these. Guys, how many times have you made people money on an inspection response because they didn't even think of asking for that? Or they had no idea that's what was all entailed in that repair that they thought was just a little one, and you were like, well, this might be a much bigger deal, right? Your experience brings a ton to the table in understanding the condition of the inspection, understanding the market they're buying in and what is acceptable and not acceptable in each market. What on an inspection could potentially cause long-term financial problems, right? What we need to solve today and have the seller solve versus what can we live with in this investment and it may not cost us. It may actually make us money if we do this project, right? Versus if we buy a house with this project, it's going to cost us money. Okay. Now let's stay just in the inspection negotiations and repairs. You know the best contractors that are going to get it done for the best price possible, right? You know the quality of work and what's expected for the prices. And if you don't, you have 400 to 10,000 other realtors to ask who the best people are for anything we need to get done on an inspection negotiation, right? Okay, so not only can you help them negotiate the inspection, but even if we don't negotiate on stuff, I can still get you the best potential deals on getting your house ready and making the repairs that we found during the process of purchasing. Okay, those are absolute direct dollar implications to their bottom line that you can help them keep money in their pocket. Yeah, let me see some thumbs up if that resonates with you guys, that it's like, yes, I know I can make them money there. Okay, great. Seller concessions. How do buyers have any idea if they can ask for seller concessions or not? It's because their realtor advises them on it. Okay? So think about that. Every time you're advising them on concessions, what could be, what may not be, what's important for this purchase, what might not be, right? That's putting money in their pocket. Negotiation power, we kind of talked about that. Christopher, confidence in pricing and value, especially when it comes to the appraisal. Here is a word you've heard me use before and that I like a lot. Bulletproof. I am going to help you bulletproof your transaction. It is one thing to get an accepted offer. It is a completely another story to actually have a successful closing, right? And my goal is once we find your perfect house and you are confident and you want that house, I am going to help you bulletproof that transaction so that it does not fall apart before closing. When deals fall apart, how much does that cost your buyers? Lots. They need to understand that right up front, right? I am going to save you, right, from potentially a deal not falling apart. That is in appraisals, right? Title work, making sure you're buying a property that I don't see any red flags when it comes to your title and your investment. Property lines, everything we watch out for when we're looking at a house for them to buy, right? And it is our confidence in understanding the market, the conditions, the pricing, right? And what they can get right then, which will make them tons of money, help them bulletproof that transaction, and save them any fallout of losing a potential property that did not get to the closing table. Okay? Beautiful. I know you have more. Keep thinking, keep thinking, keep thinking. Alyssa, boom, we hit it a bunch of times, knowing the market, right? Understanding your market. What else you got for me? Okay, here's one. Okay, yes, home warranty, whether you need one or not, right? How can that protect you from future expenses that are coming in, right? Beautiful, yes. Orchestrating all the steps. Absolutely. I saw I don't know, something on social media, and it was about orchestrating all the steps, and that people don't like team sports often. Like, it was a whole thing about, team sports aren't that fun or blah, blah, blah. And you don't often realize when you make a house purchase, it's your biggest team sport you get involved in, right? Because we have so many people that are involved in this transaction, right? And you need one person that knows all the professionals involved, can get this thing successfully to closing and orchestrate all the steps. Okay? Let's talk about your people you know. We had that on the contractor list, right? But you also know that when it comes to title, right? Where can they get the most competitive title fees? You know what the closing fees are. You know how to get them to the right lender that will protect their goals and their money long term. That's huge, right? Stop before you even do work and just say, look, just by me providing you with the best lenders in the market, that's going to make you tons of money right there, because you're going to get a potential better rate, right? You're going to get a better product potentially for yourself, which helps your investment all in all. Okay, then you just keep going to the warranty, to the inspectors. I'm going to give you the best inspector that's going to find the right things on the house and protect your long-term investment. I am not going to send you to the inspectors that I know have maybe messed up on things, right? Had issues with houses, caused my buyers problems in the past, right? That's the other side of it. I know the good and I know the bad sometimes, right? Okay, let's see. Making sure specific saves them money since they're not taking on the full-time job of being the realtor. Yes, right? Right back to your for sale by owners. This is our full-time job. How many 14 to 17 hour days do you put in? A lot. Would they like to put those in? No, they have other things to do, right? Let you do it. Good one. Oh, there's the one. Josh, you popped out. I saw that. Okay, saves them money since they're not... steel. That's what... They were kind of mixing together. I saw steel had one, and then I saw Josh had one, and I was going back and forth. Making sure the specific things on the buyer wants are spelled out in the purchase agreement. Personal property. When can you negotiate on personal property? What should be included in the offer? Yes, great one. What else you got? Think about emotions. How expensive can emotional thinking be for your buyers? Expensive, right? Your job as a realtor is to keep their emotions from becoming expensive because you are not emotional about this purchase. They can be. And you're going to be the first person to tell them when you see that they might be making an emotional decision over a business one, and that is okay. Sometimes it is worth it. Sometimes emotion means we want to pay a little bit more money. And it's your job to make sure they clearly understand when they're making that choice. So when they go to resell it, they understand that as well. Right? So all of that is important, helping them understand where their emotions lie in this and where their emotions could be costing them money. Yep. Okay. This is a good one. You think like an investor, right? How many of you automatically think resale? They say they want to live there 30 years and you're like, well, if we need to resell this in 3 years, right? That is important. It is your job to think that way. You must be thinking like the investor so that they can think like the homeowner. You also, right? How many times have you had this conversation? What if something happened to one of you and you needed to rent this property 3 years from now? Is it a rentable location, right? It's important for us to be having those conversations with our buyers so they 100% what they're getting into, right? Let's go back real quick on the appraisal too, because we kind of skipped over that you're going to help them on the appraisal. And we also understand, because of the market, which offers we're writing on and which houses we may need to provide some information ahead of time to the appraisal, right? If we feel like this may not appraise and we're concerned about it, is that something you maybe need to start that conversation on? Okay, so the strategy with the appraiser, you also understand. It's not just a check the box. You know which houses we have to really focus on the appraisal and which houses the appraisal might likely be an issue and we can just go on, right? And you know how to protect their money on paying for that appraisal ahead of time, right? What house is an okay one that I feel comfortable you can write that check for your appraisal and not? Okay, am I triggering any other things for you? Let me see what I've got on my thing. Okay, I think we kind of... Strong resale value. We kind of talked about that also, right? Just make sure you're always protecting their resale and their investment. Preventing overpayment. We kind of addressed that one on a high level, but you have got to make sure you spell that out. This truly needs to be a sheet in your buyer consultation, right? That spells every one of these things out, how you will help make them more money through the transaction, okay? And keeping them from overpaying in a competitive market is everything. And that is a story you can all tell right now. How many of you have people that bought 4 and 5 years ago and now regret it? They bought too fast and they're losing money on that, right? Those are great stories that you can tell people, that how you can help them. Okay, here's another one. I had this one on my list too. You can identify underpriced homes and value, right? So the opposite side, you can help investors, right? Because you can think like an investor. You can also find those deals, right? So you can identify, when you see a list of 25 houses, you know all the data points to pull together to say, is this a better buy over a worse buy? Right? To help them make the decisions between them. So you can also identify underpriced houses and better value houses as they're narrowing it down compared to others, right? And of course, explaining the market based on what they hear, right? What does the Zestimate say it is versus what it truly is and what you're advising them, right? That is huge value, because yeah, they can go out and get every bit of data they want, but it's how they interpret the data to make them the money that is important and what you bring to the table. Okay, what are we missing? All right, let's run down these, okay? We got 7 minutes. Let's kind of run down these. So number one, you can help them negotiate a lower purchase price. You can identify deals, underpriced or mispriced homes. Inspection credits, you can structure those to make them money. Inspection repairs, right? So not only the credits, but what repairs to make and what that you don't necessarily need to make, or long-term, what you'll have to make once you purchase this property. You'll help them not overpay, right? Get the best deal they can for their property without overpaying. Choose a strong resale value. Make money on the actual investment, the purchase. You're going to help them spot red flags that could cost money later. You've got strong lenders, title companies that will make sure their best interests are being met the whole way through. Not only do they have a relationship with your clients, they have a relationship with you, right? So they owe you really great stuff. So that relationship with other realtors, with other brokerages, with title companies, warranties, lenders, that is so valuable. Make sure you're really honing in on that and spelling that out to your buyers. Smart offer timing and market knowledge. Let's just put those together, right? You know the market. You know how to advise them on how to write the right offer, get the right house in the right market. You're going to help bulletproof the transaction so that once they're in it, they do not have costly expenses because it falls through. Appraisal, title, all of that stuff. You think like an investor. That's a huge value to them. Everybody should have an investor in their pocket as well when they're buying. You're their investor. And because emotion can be expensive, you keep their emotions in check to protect them from losing any money on their purchase. Yeah, good list. Okay, I'm going to take you to the script book, but before I do that, I want you guys to give me some thumbs up. Do you feel better now that you can go to every buyer and say, here's how I can make you lots more money than if you don't work with me or if you pick a bad agent? Okay, good. So now super quickly, so that you have your script to practice on this, page 29. It is a quick paragraph right here about buyer representation value, and I think it sums up everything we just talked about really, really, really well. And your job is to internalize this, right? This is your paragraph. Internalize this, get this down here, and it will help you with that list. So 2 to-dos from today. Create that list of the value you bring. Make sure it's in your buyer consultation. Take it to your open houses if you need to, right? Here's how I make my buyers more money when they decide to hire me. Okay, create that for yourself to spell out your value. And then your second thing is to learn this paragraph right here. Okay, buyer representation is not about paying more. It's about keeping more, right? It's about keeping more in your pocket. In a market that shifts home by home, my job is to protect you from overpaying, negotiate price, terms, and repairs based on real data. That's key, right? And help you avoid costly mistakes that buyers don't see until after they close. Most buyers who have strong representation net more financially, either through a better price, stronger terms, or fewer surprises, right? That's the money that they can invest in the fee to pay a realtor. So you should still make more money than what you pay your realtor for their commission if you're watching all these steps to save them money. Cool? Okay. You guys are awesome. So page 29, You've got your list of value you bring, and practice that so that when you go to your open houses and everything this weekend, when you're talking to buyers, you can really stand behind that. And you're like, you have to hire me because I'm the best to make you much more money than other people will. Okay? Go get them. You guys are awesome. I'm giving you back 2 minutes and I'm going to bed. Peace.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.